Welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. This is Dianne, your lactation consultant.
And this is Abby, the Badass Breastfeeder. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Today's episode is your first original not replay episode of 2024. And it is brought to you by Pumpin' Pal. Pumpin' Pal's angled flanges are here to upgrade your pumping journey. And today's episode is also brought to you by Similry breast pumps. From ultra tiny pumps as small as a sticky note to fully adjustable pumps with 85 setting combinations, you're in control of your pumping journey. Welcome to Similry. They are new today. And were you going to say something?
I was going to say welcome. Welcome. Welcome to the fam.
Yeah, we'll hear more from our sponsors later, but you can head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com and check out our sponsor page if you need anything. See if you can give any of them your business because they make this podcast possible. And while you're there, scroll down and enter your email, and we'll send episodes straight to your inbox every week. And we are still on Patreon in 2024, and we've got the biggest group we've ever had, and we're having so much fun. And we have extra episodes, and we have mini podcasts, and we have just like private conversations where people share their good news. Someone just had a baby. People are sharing advice, sharing venting, any kind of thing that you want to do. We are doing it there. So you can head to the top link in the show notes under this episode, wherever you're listening from, and click that and check out the tiers and see if you would like to join any of them. And we are still hosting our ongoing giveaway of anyone who leaves reviews around the internet. Send a screenshot along with your address to badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll send you a little goodie bag of stickers and thank you for nursing in public cards. And now Dianne has our review of the week.
And this one, actually, this person left stars on Spotify and then sent us an email, which was really sweet because you don't have to do that, but they did. So that was really nice. Who's trying to find a place to leave a written review, but since I listen on Spotify and don't have an account on other listening platforms, I couldn't. Just wanted to say that I appreciate your outlook on most things. I'm a pediatric resident physician, aspiring peds critical care doc. And as you've correctly stated in many podcasts, physicians often don't get taught about breastfeeding unless we seek out the knowledge, but some of us do. So moms should not immediately discredit breastfeeding advice from all pediatricians. Currently implementing a breastfeeding curriculum into my peds residency program, hoping that one day this will be the norm at all programs. Thank you so much for doing that. That is amazing. And she's right. Like there are some physicians that really do seek out breastfeeding info. I have met many of them in my area that do actively seek out the knowledge. And if they don't have the knowledge, they refer you on to those who do. But this person is going that extra mile and implementing a breastfeeding curriculum into a peds residency program. And that is just fantastic. I love her for this. Really cool. Yeah.
That's amazing. What's going to start making the big change that we need.
It is. Yes, that's for sure. And I love that. And thank you so much for taking the time to write in and tell us about that because love it. And that's what we need. Like Abby said, that's going to start making a lot of changes. Just those little steps. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us and for sending that in.
Yeah. And today we are going to talk about this extremely controversial article, which people have sent to me like over and over and over again to our email address, over Instagram, people are just going wild about it and they're dying to know what we think. They really are excited to know what we think. So, I know Dianne has a lot to say.
I took some notes. Yes. I've read it several times because this, like, it was going around. Like you were getting it, I was getting it. People I work with were putting it out there. Like it is just, if you haven't seen it, I will link it in the show notes. I hate to even not that I don't want to say, I hate to bring attention to it because there's so much attention to it anyway. But it is, I will read the title of it if you're not familiar. It is a New York Times article, Inside the Booming Business of Cutting Babies' Tongues. dentists and lactation consultants around the country are pushing tongue tie releases, that's in quotes, by the way, on new mothers struggling to breastfeed.
Okay, that title alone, cutting babies' tongues.
Sounds terrible.
I mean, it sounds like it's not. It sounds like not what it is. And like, oh my God, people are going to read that and just be like, oh my God, there's a thing. People are going to start, they're cutting babies' tongues? Like what? Like into a snake? Split tongue? Like what?
What are they doing?
Like if you're in this world, you kind of know like, okay, that's probably what they're talking about. But can you imagine just like your average Joe reading that?
I know. Who didn't know, like who's not part
just
of this.
Like what?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
It's crazy. First thing I want to say, and this comes later in the article, but one of the things about this article, they're not only talking about the controversy of tongue ties, but they're talking a lot about money that is being made by tongue tie releases. And a lot of it is they're kind of dancing around the idea that this is only being done because it's a money grab.
Right.
And that everybody is, putting babies up under this trauma just so that they can make a buck. And
they highlight stories throughout where people have like awful outcomes.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all they're talking about.
Right. That's all they're talking about is just the awful outcomes that come up. But one of the things that they say is that lactation consultants make money off referrals to the dentists, which I have never met anybody.
Like, what?
I know. I have not met a single lactation consultant that has received a dime.
Oh my God.
Off of any of this stuff.
Or like a dime in general. I mean, like lactation consultants are not laughing on their way to the bank.
No. We are not.
I'm pretty sure that you're like crying on the way to the bank.
Yeah, every day. Let me tell you. This is like, it is insane.
Nobody's like, oh, I'm going to be a lactation consultant and then I'm going to make lots of money and go into lactation.
And here is
hilarious.
One well-known dentist in Manhattan takes in millions of dollars a year from his tongue tie practice. Lactation consultants who refer patients and assist dentists get paid too. No, we don't. No, we don't. If it's your job at a dentist's office and it's your job, then you probably get paid because it's your job.
Yeah.
But nobody's getting like a kickback.
And let's be honest, most dentist offices don't have a lactation consultant, for crying out loud.
No.
Most of them don't. And if they do and they're like in cahoots to like make money by this, then that's wild and that's definitely rare. And like it's definitely like crazy. Like you could you could make a crazy Hollywood movie out of it, but like that's not what's the daily practice.
I mean, let's face it. This is based on, tongue tie releases took off, I don't know how long ago, 10, 15, 20 years ago or something like that. Just like really took off. And I do think that some of it, like, some people did realize, oh, I could really make money in my practice with this. Get a laser, learn how to do it. And I think some people really do want to help and want to be helpful and want to help parents who are struggling. But I think on the other end of it, I think people realize that they could make a lot of money. But lactation consultants are not those people, for sure. This article is just, all it really talks about is the negative things that come about it. And there is some really good research out there that shows that if a tongue tie is significantly impacting breastfeeding, having a revision is helpful.
Right.
And this is saying, revisions are not helpful. And it really depends on the situation. That's the other thing that has to come about with this. And we've talked about this when we've done tongue tie episodes in the past. Like, it really does depend on the situation. And you have to be really cautious about this stuff.
Well, I think
No, go ahead.
I mean, that's just why I find articles like this to be so unhelpful, because it's like, yes, sometimes you do see it being overdone, over diagnosed, over practiced, that kind of thing. But then it exists for a reason. And there are some babies that do need it and do benefit from it. But you're not going to walk away from this article having any kind of, like, if you didn't know about it and you're just reading about it, you're not going to know any more than you did before.
Right.
Like, it's just like it's like, I don't know. It just seems like it's not really like, is this journalism?
It's
I
terrible.
feel like this is not anything except for just like an expose, like I don't know if that's the right word, but just like this really dramatic. I feel like it's a dramatization. Like, I feel like it's a Lifetime movie. Like, it's so, really, I don't know. Yeah. You're not going to get like, of course, if you do it when it's not really needed, it's a medical procedure, there's always risks in that.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to do it unless it's absolutely necessary.
So when these people it looked like they went to Manhattan to, kind of observe one of the practices and see what they were doing and, all that stuff or whatever. And it said that, they were there. They talked to 3 people. And one of them was there because they were trying to be proactive and make sure their baby didn't have any issues with like sleep apnea and, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So they were just getting it done just to get it done. Like they weren't having any problems.
Yeah.
I don't know that if I kind of feel like that shouldn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel like that's a little bit over the top.
Yeah.
But I mean, people do what they want to do.
What are you going to? Yeah,
I would never recommend somebody to just go and get it done just to be on the safe. Like, oh yeah, you should just go get it done. Just go get your baby's time. You're not having any problems, but go ahead and get it done anyway.
Yeah, I think there's this confusion that like if you have like a frenulum between your lip, between on your upper lip or under your tongue or whatever, that means you have to have it cut. I was like, oh, no, that's a normal body part. And sometimes people have extreme ties where like when they smile, you can see the frenulum and it's really tight and they never have a problem breastfeeding. It's like just because it exists doesn't mean that it needs to be cut.
The definition of a tie is if there is mobility issues. Like the tie can be there, but if there's no problems, it's not necessarily a tie. It's just your frenulum.
That was like with Exley. They thought Exley had a tongue tie, but he was nursing and they're like, it's no big deal. It's fine.
Yeah. Like if the tongue has mobility and there's no issues, then that's fine. And I've seen a lot of babies, and this is kind of like how I've thought about it when I was reading this article. I've seen a lot of babies that have had tongue tie releases done that did not fix their nursing problems.
Oh,
which tells me, and then they come to me and they're like, all right, I had a release done and it's still not, we're still not nursing well. It's like, okay, then that wasn't the problem. There was something else going on there.
Yeah.
And now we did a revision because somebody said, oh, it's a tongue tie. So now we did a revision and that didn't fix it, which tells me that that was not the problem. And I feel like that is a lot of what's going on in this article, because they're like, oh, and then this baby never nursed again. Like one of the babies that they talked about in here had a laser revision done and then they never nursed again. And it's like, we can blame it on the revision, but there was something else happening there. And the lactation consultant that they discussed in this, which I was surprised, like they named her and said where she was from, and they blew her up because they just like, I kind of feel bad for her because they really blew her up.
I know, they totally did.
And they were really like, basically they stuck a label on her and made her sound, but they made all lactation consultants look bad in this article.
They made everybody sound like a lunatic. That's what I'm saying. It sounds like a Lifetime movie when there's going to be a murder at the end.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I'm like, what is this? Like, how is this? This is not like the reality of anybody.
No, it's not. And for some of the things that this lactation consultant was doing, if it's correct, she shouldn't be doing it. I mean, if and things like, first of all, and I know I've said this before on the podcast, but I'll say it again, lactation consultants we are not supposed to be diagnosing anything. Ties, mastitis, whatever. We don't have a medical license. We're not doctors. We're not supposed to be diagnosing. You can come to me and I can tell you what I think is going on, but I am going to refer you to somebody else, like an ENT or a pediatric dentist or somebody like that can actually say, this is what's happening. I mean, it's kind of backwards because we're the ones that know, but we're not supposed to be diagnosing. So if any lactation consultant says to you, oh, I'm telling you, this is what's going on with your baby and you need to do A, B, and C. Like, that's not what you're supposed to be hearing from them. But you're also not supposed to be don't ever get a tongue tie diagnosis via email or phone
Facebook
or social
group.
Media, Facebook, none of that stuff. Don't ever let somebody tell you, yeah, your baby's, oh, look at that picture of your baby. Don't show somebody up. Don't put a picture of your baby up on Facebook and say, does my baby have a tongue tie? That is not the way to get your baby diagnosed at all. You have to see if there's mobility issues. By looking at it is not going to give you the answer that you need. You need to see what's actually going on with your baby. So, and it sounded like this lactation consultant was doing stuff like that, was saying, oh, by what it sounds like, your baby has a tie.
Right.
Without even
your
seeing
baby
babies.
Definitely has a tie. I think your baby very definitely, I could definitely tell your baby has a tie by the picture.
Yeah. And that's not right. Don't ever do that. And don't ever take anybody's word for it by don't go and get something done to your baby just because somebody tells you that on Facebook. Like, that's not, that might be what's going on, but that shouldn't be how you find out by something like that.
Yeah.
So
let's take a break.
Yeah, let's take a break and then we'll go through the rest of my list.
And Dianne has COVID. That's why she sounds like that.
I know. I do have COVID. Sorry about that.
I'm sorry. I just broke like HIPAA laws. I told your medical.
I don't care. My life is out there.
You can't get it through the computer, no matter what you hear on the internet. Okay, we'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by Pumpin' Pal. Pumpin' Pal's angled flanges are here to upgrade your pumping journey. Designed by a caring father to help his wife pump, the angled flange is the answer for parents needing something different than the common shape of the standard flange that comes with your pump. Pumpin' Pal flanges are designed to help improve your flow of milk and not constrict your milk ducts because of the way the flanges are able to shape to the natural angle of the breast. Pumpin' Pal offers medical-grade silicone flanges designed specifically for parents that would be considered to have elastic nipples. This type of silicone is made to hold onto the breast tissue so your nipple is not pulled deep into the tunnel, like we see with hard plastic flange. Pumpin' Pal now has a new milk storage bag that has a thermal sensor on the bag to help you indicate when the milk is too hot, too cold, or just right. You can now try 5 bags and their new sterilizer bag for free. Just pay $2.99 for shipping and handling. And use code BADASS at checkout for $4 off any order at pumpinpal.com. That's pumpinpal.com. And today's episode is also brought to you by Similry. Similry breast pumps want you to have control of your pumping journey. With a continuous focus on research and development and a team comprised of CLCs, Similry Breast Pumps strives to offer pumps for every lifestyle, from ultra-tiny pumps as small as a sticky note to fully adjustable pumps with 85 setting combinations. You're in control of your pumping journey. With resources like virtual breast shield sizing consults in English and Spanish, and an exclusive Get the Right Fit program that offers a third set of breast shields free, Similry gives you vital tools for a successful journey. A safe choice for everyone. All Similry pumps, parts, and storage bags are phthalate and BPA free, Better yet, Similary breast pumps can be personalized with a fun pump skin decal. See your full pump family at similarybreastpumps.com. That's CIMILRE breastpumps.com. And you can use code BADASS for 15% off of your order. And all of our sponsors and their promo codes can be found in the show notes under this episode, wherever you're listening from. And also over at badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com. And at the website, badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com, you'll also find all of our other episodes and information about scheduling your very own one-on-one online lactation consultation with Dianne.
So one of the other things that I don't like in this article, it kind of makes me feel some sort of way,
Yeah.
is where it says, the procedure's popularity has exploded over the past decade as women face intensifying pressure to nurse.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I remember that too. And also, when you click that, it's highlighted. So when you click the intensifying pressures, it goes to a website that lists the benefits of breastfeeding.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is your pressure?
Right.
Just saying like, what? Okay. All right.
Isn't that weird?
It's so weird.
But is it intensifying pressure? Like, does everybody that's like, if you're listening right now and you're nursing your baby, did you feel intensified pressure to nurse your baby? Like, I would really love, like, I'm totally curious. Like, I really, because I don't meet people who are like, I felt so pressured to breastfeed. I haven't had anybody say that to me.
I think there are people that when they're bottle feeding, they feel judged by the quote breastfeeding camp of people who are, I mean, in my view and in your view, trying to educate and discuss why, formula is a risk and why we need more breastfeeding support and why most people do want to try breastfeeding and they should have the support to do that. But in everybody else's mind, besides, I think, us, see it as like, oh, you're judged if you don't do it. And, people are pressuring you and saying that, like, you really should do it and feeling that pressure. But I don't
see it like that.
Yeah, I know. I don't see it like that either. Because I feel like when you say, this is why I don't like, it's just because if you say like, oh, well, if you say breastfeeding, many people are just so already defensive. It's like, well, we're talking about like scientific research on the health of humans. And then it's like, well, but you're judging me. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that should just make breastfeeding's more like kind of in the spotlight, being talked about more. And so I feel like the person who wrote this does not have children.
That's a good
Seriously,
point.
I don't think that they have any kind of personal experience or connection to this topic.
Yeah. Because I think you really need to be able to give a really good opinion on it.
Yeah.
And I just don't see where they have that, like it just, it's such a crazy article. It's really
weird.
is.
It's really weird.
It is really, and they're talking about how hard it is to get people's licenses suspended. Which it's like, wow, we went from, we really took a dive here, didn't we? Like we're trying to get people suspended now for doing this. And they're also talking about like, parents feel guilty for putting their baby through this, especially, and I could see that. I could definitely see that if this is something that didn't work, if you took somebody's advice and got a tongue tie revision done and your breastfeeding did not improve, I could see where you would feel really guilty that you put your baby through something that wasn't helpful.
Yeah.
And I think parents need a lot of support if you're going to be doing stuff like this. It's a big decision to make. And a lot of parents are like the parents that I talk to, are like, well, I'll do whatever needs to be done. I'm not adverse to something like that. If it's going to help, then I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no guarantees. And for somebody to say, oh yeah, this is it. Like you just get it done and it's going to be better. Like that's not the case. And which is why like these dentist offices should have lactation consultants there. And I don't know of one that does. No. Personally, I do not know of one dentist office.
I feel like somebody recently said it to me and I was like, that is the first time I've ever heard that.
Yeah.
That there was a lactation
consultant.
Not common. Yeah, no, not at all.
It is not common at all that you see that. And they should have it. If you're going to be doing laser revisions, they should have a lactation consultant. But it's, and this stuff is not covered by insurance. It can be very costly. So knowing what, I always get a second opinion. Get a second opinion for sure about this.
Yeah.
And if you really do think that this is what's going on, I mean, if it is an obvious tie, like at the tip of the tongue, then, that is an easy, usually just a clip. If somebody's saying, oh no, there's a posterior tie and you have to have a laser revision done and blah, 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 this stuff, I would get a second opinion for sure. Because that's a lot to go through.
Yeah, it is. And the other, I'm just kind of reading through this article. It's just crazy.
Yeah,
She says, sucking from a bottle is easy. But to breastfeed, infants must learn to use their tongues to extract milk. It's like babies were born to use a bottle, so that comes easy to them. But then breastfeeding is hard. I mean, this is a person who just doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't. They don't.
And again, not to say if the overall point of the article is that tongue ties are being overdone, okay. I think we've talked about that. But the way it's being laid out is just like.
And then they talk about lasers and tequila.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Lasers and tequila, which was some sort of conference or something.
Retreat. Yeah,
that some laser company put on to teach people how to do the procedure and to tout their lasers. And it was called Lasers and Tequila. Now, I'm not saying that's okay. And that does sound like a money grab. It does sound like they're just promoting this to just be out there and getting some money, because that's crazy.
And what they're talking about, like doctors were like posing with their bottles of tequila, like next to the laser machine or something. Like,
yeah. Like, come on.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and here's where it says, one mother came in because of trouble breastfeeding, another had a fussy baby, and the third was hoping to avoid future health issues.
Yeah, what?
So, if I were that, I don't know that the dentist should be like, oh, you want to just make sure you have a fussy baby? Yeah, let's do it.
I know, fussy baby.
What? Like, what? Did you talk to anybody before you did this? And why are we like that? I don't understand.
Yeah, one person's website says if your baby is super fussy, chances are your baby has a missed tongue tie.
Yeah, that's not accurate.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
There is a lot to unpack with this article. There was really a lot.
I would say people need to. But I don't think there's anything useful in this article, except that maybe I don't know. Maybe there's a couple of like fringe lunatics out there telling you that based on the picture you sent them, they definitely have a tongue tie and they should definitely have it revised right away. Don't do that. Hopefully we know not to do that.
And I mean, really, if somebody's telling you like this is going to be the thing that fixes it, I mean, there is no easy fixes. And this has happened. Like we have somebody, not locally, he's one of the bigger like names, one of the like trailblazers in tongue tie revision, laser revisions in Albany. And he's like written all the articles and, you know, he's the one that's trained everybody and, you know, he's like a big deal. But people would go down there to get it done and he'd be like, all right, now your baby's fixed. It's fine.
Ugh.
And it wasn't. Like people were like, no, there was still a lot of things that we needed to do before it got better. It didn't just get better right away. Like there was a lot we needed to do to make things better. And it's like, this is why you need to have a lactation consultant.
Right. Because there's a whole aftercare program you're going to have to go through.
Right.
You don't just change the physiology of somebody's mouth and then all of a sudden it's great. Like
your baby has to figure it out.
Like I had a torn meniscus and I had surgery to fix the torn meniscus or to, you know, trim away the ripped parts. And it's not like I jumped up the next day and was like, okay, all better. Like, no, it was a month ago and I'm still working on this knee to like get it healed. Like it's a healing and relearning how to use your body thing. It's not a quick fix.
It's not. It is not a quick fix. And one of the families that they talked about, the baby was not a good outcome. Their baby ended up dehydrated and ended up going to the hospital. And they spoke with the dentist that performed the procedure, and he said it was the only bad outcome of nearly 800 surgeries he had performed. How does he know? Like, does he personally follow up with 800 people to know? I mean,
yeah.
And this is the side effects that they're highlighting in this article are extreme. I have not seen a situation where a baby ended up in the hospital because they had a laser revision done. I have not seen anything like that happen. I have seen it where they've gotten a laser revision done and it didn't fix the problem. And that I can guarantee happened with some of these people, like with some of the 800 such surgeries that he had performed. So if you're talking a bad outcome, like I would think that a bad outcome would be that it didn't fix the problem. That is also a bad outcome because now these families did something that didn't help their baby and they're still not breastfeeding well, which is the whole point of why they did this procedure. But I've never had anybody's baby end up in the hospital from what I've never had anybody tell me their baby ended up in the hospital, which is terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I can't even imagine. But this lactation consultant that they've highlighted in here, she's like, you know, assisting the dentists and doing all sorts of, like, she's got her hands in all sorts of stuff. And they really exposed her in this. And
they really did.
It made it sound like she's just the worst person on the planet. And she also, in this, went right into these babies' mouths and opened up their wound, if these people are correct. And that is, do not ever let anybody do that to your baby. I think
God, that is just wild. Oh,
I know. I don't know of any lactation consultant that would do that. Like,
no.
So that this is like, she's extreme. And I don't know of any lactation consultant that behaves the way this one does.
I wonder if she has like a response to this. article, you know?
Yeah. They
I don't
spoke
know
to her
how.
on the phone and she didn't answer their questions. All she said, there's thousands of people that are happy
Yeah.
with what I'm doing. That's what she
Yeah.
said.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about thousands.
That's a lot of
okay.
people.
Yeah.
She
That
must
is a
be
lot of
like
people.
70 and have been doing it since she was 20 or something.
I know. I mean, it's crazy. And then they had this one, the last baby that they talked about where she just, she can't eat solid foods at a year,
Mm-hmm.
never breastfed again. This is, whenever, and I'm not saying that I know what I'm doing, but I always try, if there's a situation like this, like I said, always get a second opinion. I think seeing like a speech language pathologist that has experience with infants, I think that is a really good way to go as well because it's non-invasive. They're not going to do anything like this to your baby. They're not going to do a procedure on your baby. They might be able to, help you determine, is it really a tie or is your baby got something else going on?
Yeah.
Is it like a suck dysfunction happening? Are they just not using their tongue the way they need to? And maybe just doing some, figuring out how to do some exercises with your baby and doing things like that to help them to use their tongue more efficiently. Is that what we need to do? Or do they really need a revision? Jumping into revision without looking at anything else, I think, is not the way to go. And
No.
I know, like, definitely, there are definitely people who have had revisions that it has fixed their problem. Like, it has really made a huge difference. Maybe not immediately, but over time. And there is research, like I was saying in the beginning of this, there is research to show that it does help. In certain situations, revisions are absolutely helpful. What is not helpful is an article like this.
Yeah, this article is not helpful. This is not helpful. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
It's wild.
Not at all. Yeah.
Yeah. I like see a lactation consultant and get a second opinion.
Yeah. And don't see a lactation consultant like the one that's in this article because I'm not sure what's going on with her.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I would think if, because then people are going to be like, well, how do I know it's a good lactation consultant? I mean, just anybody who's like, oh, I've got the quick fix for this is like that's not a thing.
Right.
And get a second opinion on your lactation consultant too.
Yeah, that's even, and I always would tell people that too. Like, see somebody who see an ENT, see a pediatric dentist, see, somebody who can see a speech language pathologist that specializes in infant feeding, like that can tell you if they think your baby is not using their tongue the way they need to because of this tie.
Yeah.
But don't get it diagnosed over email, Facebook, or the phone, or any pictures, nothing like that.
Yeah.
Have somebody that can actually look at your baby.
So I don't know if that narrowed down how we feel about the article.
Well, I think we kind of really.
But yeah, I mean, if you were shocked by it, then yeah, just know we were too.
Yeah. We were too. And I think they did. That's what they wanted to do with this article, right? They wanted to shock a lot of people.
That seems like that's the only thing. That's the only outcome that it had. To shock people, get people reading it, get clicks on NYT. I don't know.
Yep. And that's definitely what it did.
It did.
And they wanted people to really think that everybody's hurting their baby for profit.
Yeah.
That's what's happening here. And I think this is really scary to
oh my God.
people that have had it done.
Yeah. People that have had it done and people who are like maybe in the middle of trying to figure out if their baby needs a revision. My God. I'd be really panicking scary now.
Yeah. Yeah. Really scary.
Good job, New York Times.
Well, Well, thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.